All right, here we go. Tonight's video is called Douche Bag Shoulders. Now, I just want to qualify. That is not my phrase. Not that I'm embarrassed or ashamed of it. I actually love it. I envy the phrase. But it's not mine. Years ago, I was probably a personal trainer for at least 15 years at this point. I was attending a class by this guy. His name is Steadman, not Oprah's boy toy. This guy's name is Ken Steadman. And he was teaching this class, and he used a specific reference to a type of posture which he called douche bag shoulders. And it was so perfect. Not only did I remember it from 8 years ago, I never forget it, and I use it all the time. So to give you an idea of what douche bag shoulders is, basically, I don't know if you can see that because I'm blending in a little too much, but the shoulders are forward, the chin is forward, and the upper back is rounded. So that's a pure side view of douche bag shoulders. Now, if you go to the evidence-based fitness world of like, oh, well, that's called, forward head posture, or, poor, shoulder carriage, or, you get some of the more elite folks that go, oh, that's upper cross syndrome. Oh, that's Janda, that's Prague, that's who cares? Douchebag shoulders is perfect because it takes this problematic body position and puts it in a language that you'll never forget. Because the reality is, if you care about your neck, and you care about your back, you care about your shoulders, you care about your function, you care about your health, you're basically being a douchebag if you walk around like this all day long. So the question is, now that we know what douchebag shoulders are, and we understand the amount of strain and pressure and lack of efficiency and durability it puts on your body, because basically, if you're telling me this is an okay body position to be in, and that you're going to be as physical and as durable and as strong, and you're going to have perfect health in this position, you can breathe well in this position, and you generate maximal muscle force in this position, then I can't help you. Go to another video, or go stand on a street corner in New York and tell everyone that pain is something that's in your mind, all right? Go hang out with Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse, all right? And go be a fictional cooler at the Double Deuce. I have no time for you. So let's continue forward, amicably. So if you know that douchebag posture is not a great thing, the question is, what the hell do I do about it? Well, it's very simple. There's 3 parts to addressing douchebag shoulders. First part is to address a amount of stiffness, and I'll explain this in a second because this is very important. I don't know if I've heard many people talk about it this way, but to address stiffness in the upper back, or it's known as the thoracic portion of your spine where your ribs connect, and to give you more stability and strength in the lumbar portion of your spine. Right now, this really isn't as much about flexibility or strength as much as it's about motor patterns. And I know I haven't heard many people talk about this, but oftentimes they'll show you a couple, stretches for this area, and then they'll show you a couple stretches for this area and this area. Then they'll show you some exercises for here and here. And they explain it as somehow you're remolding your muscles and your body. That's not really what happens for the most part. If you ever want to understand this, go take a look at a dog when they stretch after sleeping for too long. And when a dog gets up and they do the stretch, basically they stretch, and then if you're not a sociopath, they say, oh, big stretch, buddy, right? When they stretch, basically they've elongated the tight muscle. So anything that's really going to bring you back to this position is what's known as a motor program or a motor engram. If you want to understand what this is, just simply take your hands and fold them like this. No, I'm serious. This is what I do for a living. I'm serious. Fold your hands over like this. Now, what I want you to do is while you're actually folding your hands over, you put down your soda, you put down your pizza, you put down whatever you're eating, and you have your hands folded. I want you to look at which of your index fingers is on top. Now, in my case, my left index finger is on top. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to switch, and I'm going to put my right index finger on top. Right? That's a motor program. That's a motor engram. That's what my body knows and understands. And whenever I go from here to here, it feels really, really, really weird. Right? Because it's not what my body knows and understands. So a great deal of these mobility exercises for the thoracic spine and stability exercises for the lumbar spine, a great deal of these stretches for the pecs and the lats, a great deal of these exercises that help activate the mid-back, that help activate the rotator cuff. Their real strength isn't so much in their effect on the tissues, although it does have an effect, some more in some people than others. The effect is not what it does to the tissues, but what it does to reprogram your brain to understand that these are postures that exist. That just because you spend most of your day like this is not the only positions available to your body. So a lot of this, and it's very important because when you do these exercises, you just can't do them once a day and then walk away into the sunset. These exercises are actually best done for less sets and less reps, more spread out through the day. So you're constantly battling this with that. So your body doesn't think this is the pit position, right? Because if it was, you just stretch out your chest and you never go back to this position ever again. Your chest is stretched. Where is it going to go, right? Because again, this is not your motor program. Your motor engram, your motor program is this. So I always argue that for every hour, maybe every 2 hours that you're in these positions, you should be doing at least the upper body portion. Now, this is douche bag shoulders. This isn't douche bag hips. I'll do another video about douche bag hips later. But once every 2 hours, you should take some time and do at least one set of all of these douche bag shoulder exercises. Now listen, just because you work in a computer, just because you drive by in a car lot, you are a manual laborer. People don't get this. Right? If you sit behind a computer for 8 hours a day, you are a manual laborer. You are using your body in order to make a living. Your brain is not in a jar, right? This isn't the gamesters of Trixelion, right? Did I say that right, Jeff Ezekov? I think I said that right? This is not a Star Trek episode in which Kirk is being attacked by a bunch of different heads in a jar in a cave, right? We are stuck in these bodies whether we like them or not. And so we are all to some degree or not manual laborers. And while we wouldn't be shocked if a construction worker with a bad back or a bad shoulder, we shouldn't be shocked at an office worker with a bad neck or a bad shoulder. The stress is just different. For them, the stress is acute. They lift up an 80-pound bag of concrete. You spend 10 hours a day like this. One is blunt force trauma, immediate stress. The other is slow, prolonged torture. All right, perfect example of this. If I ran on too long, get to the exercise. I'll put a timestamp for the exercises, but this is what I do. All right, there is a restaurant in Montgomery, New Jersey called Tiger's Tail. And before the pandemic, they had this contest where you'd hold out a beer stein. And the beer stein didn't weigh that much. It wasn't like you were holding out a 50-pound dumbbell. That looks really cool. I like that. But what happened was, after 10, 15 minutes, your arm basically would go dead. Why? Because even 15 pounds or 5 pounds being held out here for that long is exhausting to your muscles and your tendons and your ligaments. Well, the human head weighs about somewhere around 8 to 10% of your body weight. For some of us, more towards the 10% than others. Well, guess what? If you're holding this sucker out like this all day long, what do you think that's going to do to the, wrong side. What do you think it's going to do to the tissues of your upper back? It's going to exhaust you over the long term. Whereas lifting that heavy bag will exhaust you over the short term. So you have to, again, understand you're a manual laborer and you're retraining motor program more than you're necessarily changing the structure of the tissue itself. So now we got that out of the way. Let's go over the 3 parts of how you address douche bag shoulders. The first part, again, is more mobility through the mid-back and more stability through the core. Why? Because when you look at someone who sits for a living, let's just see if I can get it this way. Tilt the camera down a little, all right? So if you look at this way, God, I really gotta work on my production values. If you look at them this way, this is rounded this way, and their low back is way too loose. So what happens is this gets really stiff. The upper back where the ribs are gets really stiff in this position, and the low back becomes too salamander-like. It becomes too loosey-goosey. So the problem is you have stiffness here, you have too much looseness here. And then every time you try to address the stiffness here, if you don't address the looseness here, you're just going to compensate with more looseness. So 2 of my favorite exercises I like to have people do are the extension over the chair and the rotation on the chair. And I'll explain why I'm so chair obsessed in a second. So I'm just going to get my foam roller real quick. Again, there's going to be a lot of information in the douchebag video, so it's going to take a little while. But what I like to do is I actually like to take a foam roller and squeeze it between my knees. Now, if you're in an office, you don't have a foam roller laying around. Basically, anything you can squeeze between your knees is going to help activate your core more. That's an interesting little rule, is that if you squeeze something between your hands, it activates your core more. If you squeeze something between your knees, it activates your core more. Why do I want to activate my core more? Well, exactly what I just said before. If my core is too loosey-goosey, and every time I try to mobilize this, I don't move this because it's stiff. My body says, oh, cool, path of least resistance. Let's move through that overly mobile low back. I'm not accomplishing anything. So by squeezing the foam roller between my legs, I activate my abdominals. I'm training a new motor program. I'm telling my body, I know you're loose here and stiff here all day long. Well, let's deal with a little tightness here and a little looseness up here. I'm retraining my body's programs while, to a degree, affecting the tissue. So what you do is, let me see if I can get this right. Actually, I'll probably go more over here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, if I had like a good production value, I could have this all edited out and just go like really cool graphics, but whatever, that's my life. I squeeze the block between my knees. I place my hands behind my head, and I extend my upper back over the chair. I do that about 2 to 3 times, and then I'll slide my butt a little bit more down the chair and get another section of my upper back and extend. And extend. And then I can also go a little closer back on the chair and go a little lower on the thoracic spine. Just like that. So that takes care of the ability of that spine to extend just like that. That spine also does rotation too. And one of the bad, I'm going down too low, one of the bad motor programs you'll see in office people is because they tend to have their car, their phone or their trackpad or their notebook on whatever side is, they tend to have this really weird rotation. Again, if all it was about was the tissues, they could just stretch and they'd be up straight. But because this is programmed in their head 100 times a day, this is the motor program their body knows. So the idea behind the rotational training is to reteach their body, hey, there's other motions the body goes through. Yes, we want to stretch the tissues out, but mainly we're teaching the body, this isn't the only position you're in. You also have this available to you. So the way the other one works is, you squeeze the block between the knees, you place the hands behind the head, and while squeezing the core, keeping my belly button facing the roller, I'm going to rotate to this side, and then I'm going to rotate to that side, blowing my air out. Let me do that one more time with the breath, because I didn't emphasize that in the other motion. I'm going to squeeze my core, squeeze my knees, get my lumbar area stable by using abdominal power, rotate, and then rotate the other way. Again, about 2 or 3 each side. You're better off, I'll say this over and over again, you're better off spreading these out throughout the day than doing once. Why? Because if you teach your body this program and all of a sudden you go back to this all day long, you're going to lose. Now, one of the things I do want to say about this, be very careful with these exercises. This is not weight training. This isn't every time I work out I give 110%. This isn't a deodorant commercial. I'll put it in the show notes if you were born after 1990. The reality is trying to overdo these exercises can get you hurt. Number one, if you're very stiff, these patterns are going to be very new to your tissues. They will be affected to a degree by them. Don't get yourself hurt by doing too much all at once. The second thing is, the reason why I favor these 2 exercises is because it's all about the frequency. It's all about the repetitions. It's all about doing this as many times throughout the day as possible. Not everyone has the ability to just jump down on the floor whenever they do it. There are a lot of great thoracic, abdominal stability exercises to do this. You can do it on a foam roller. You can do it on there's special types of foam rollers that help not put any pressure on your spine. There's a ton of outstanding thoracic rotation exercises. Any trainer that tells you any one of these exercises is better than another, they're just being annoying, all right? There's douche bag shoulders, there's douche bag trainers, and every trainer who's worth their salt knows that there are a lot of ways to achieve fitness. It's the ones that are trying to sell you something, or the alpha males who should probably be peeing all over the walls to mark their dominance, or the alpha females too. They're the ones who come to this, well, you really don't know what you're doing if you don't do it the way I like to do it. There are so many ways to accomplish this, right? The reason why I picked the chair method is because, again, most people who have problems with this sit in a chair all day. They have access to a chair. This works really well. They don't have to go down on the floor. I actually think some of the floor thoracic rotation exercises are actually more effective. Number one, because you have the entire level ground to brace your body against. The other thing is with the chair, you really can't go too intense for 2 reasons. Number one, you are placing direct pressure on your spine. And one of the things you have to be very careful of is you really don't know with a lot of people what's underlying issues they may or may not have in their spine because they may not be aware of it. That's why I always, in my videos, when it's about diet, I always say, go see your doctor first. Yes, I'm covering my ass. But the second thing I'm doing that for is the reality is dead people don't lose weight, they decompose. If you've got some dietary issue and then you follow some advice that some douche trainer on YouTube gives you, you can very well seriously hurt yourself. Well, the same thing goes for exercise. There are a ton of underlying issues people might have that make certain exercises a poison for some people and an antidote for others, right? So one of the things I always tell people when they do these exercises, they can put like a sweatshirt or a towel on the back of the chair. That'll help eliminate some of the excessive pressure on the back. The other reason why is you're in a chair, right? The odds are if you start getting like Johnny Crank, like I'm gonna get all my posture fixed by tomorrow, the damn chair's gonna flip over and you're gonna break your freaking neck. So take it easy because it works better if you take it easy on these exercises, and you won't break your neck and fall over your chair and look like an idiot, right? But that's why I favor the chair. I do not feel it's superior in terms of execution, but I do think it's superior in terms of practicality because so much of these mobility exercises for the thorax, whether it's rotation or extension, need to be done to reprogram your body. So it means they need to be done frequently throughout the day. I try to make it as easy as possible for the client who tends to be most affected by these conditions to do the exercise. So that's number one. You're increasing extension of this thorax while increasing core stability. So I'm actually moving from here and not making this looser and weaker. All right. And then you're doing rotation through the thorax. What you'll notice on the rotation more than the extension is that one side will be a lot stiffer than the other if you work in an office. So what you may notice is when you go this direction, you may go all the way here and all of a sudden you go here and you're like, what the hell just happened to me? In that case, I always say double up. If you're going to do these exercises every 2 hours, do one set of 3 reps this way and do 2 sets of 3 reps that way. Because obviously you need more motor programming in that direction than the other direction. And since motor programming is the whole purpose behind this douche bag shoulder workout, you need to do more of it. So that's the first thing, right? Is the thoracic exercise with the roller. One other thing, when you do the extensions, you will find that certain hip positions, you'll feel more stiffness. If that's the case, go to the position you feel the most stiffness. So if your butt's all the way on the end of the seat and you feel a ton of stiffness here, but you don't feel it when the back is here, then spend most of your 3 to 5 reps all throughout the day doing this, since that's where most of your reprogramming needs to occur. Okay, so that's the thoracic spine. The second thing is you want to stretch out your pectoral muscles and your lat muscles. Now, real quick, this has to be said. Years ago, when this stuff started to become really hot, right, because people started realizing that you didn't have to be in chronic pain all day if you worked in an office, at least not physical pain. There was this thought that no one should do bench pressing or pull downs because tight lats and pec muscles are very characteristic of people who sit like this all day. Here's the problem. Unless you're a world-class powerlifter or world-class bodybuilder, and the reason why your pecs and lats are stuck in this position isn't because of a low-grade, low-energy, constant signal, a bad motor program, but you literally have massive pecs and you have massive lats that are literally sucking your body into the black hole of forward posture. Cutting back on those exercises is going to be a disaster for you. All right? Your muscles are short and weak. They're not short and strong. All right? Weightlifters, powerlifters, they're short and strong. You're not that way. You sit at a desk. You're short and weak. Again, don't take that the wrong way. I'm just trying to emphasize a point. I don't think you're weak. I just think the muscles aren't. The point being is, one of the best things you can do if you're an office person is do chest and back exercises. Why? Because every exercise, when done correctly, is a posture exercise. And I know some people are like, oh, but shit, what if you work on the iliac fibers of your lats? First off, this is an exercise video for normal people. No one who's normal gives a crap about the iliac fibers of their lats. All right? So for the most part, if you're training an average everyday person, having a strong chest and strong lats will only help your posture because every time you do a good bench press, your pecs should be in front of your shoulders. This is douche bag bench press. Why? It's all deltoids and arms. And all of a sudden you're doing 200 pounds, you get to where your chest looks like crap. Because your chest isn't working. Because you're basically saying to your brain, hey, here's a deltoid, here's an arm, here's a chest. We're going to just shove that back over here. We're just going to work all our arms. All right? So a good bench press is a posture exercise. If you want to work your chest in a bench press, you better have good posture. If you want to work your lats in a back exercise, you better have good posture. You're strengthening up the good positions, not weakening them. I know that's something that's been out there in the exercise world, and it infuriates me because, again, unless your bad posture is from you being so massive and jacked, you should be doing more strength training exercise, not less. Okay, now that's been said. The 2 stretches. So we're going to take you over here, and here are the 2 stretches. And by the way, again, there are a lot of stretches that you can do. So if you start hearing someone talk about how one stretch is superior than the other, and it's not because of what I'm telling you to do, because it's a practical matter based on the equipment that you have available, just run away because they're just being annoying. Right? So this one's called the doorway chest stretch. I don't have a doorway, I have an archway because I'm cool. Right? But here's how it works. You start with your arm in a variety of positions, here, here, or here. Now, why do I do a variety of positions? Because remember, human beings are not apes. We are tool manipulating creatures. Our bodies are designed with lots of subdivisions of our muscles so we can manipulate tools in all different types of positions. So when you do the pec stretch here, you're tending to get more of the fibers that are down by your rib cage. When you get the stretch here, you're getting more of the fibers by your breastbone, and when your elbow's down here, you're getting more of the fibers up by your clavicle. The bottom line is you want to figure out which one of these three positions stretch, just like the thoracic extension. Figure out, and the rotation with sides. Figure out which one of these positions is the tightest and emphasize that. So what you would do is, I know for a fact, I don't have a ton of tightness here, but once I start getting here by my breastbone and down here by my clavicle, it gets really, really tight. So what I do is I fix my arm against the doorway, so my palm of my elbow against the doorway. I'm going to, again, tighten my core so I don't make this loose. I'm trying to get mobility here, not mobility there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to understand, okay, this is the origin of the breastbone fibers. This is the origin of the ribcage fibers. This is the origin of the clavicle fibers. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get the origin away from the insertion. So all those areas insert on my arm, and why wouldn't they? Because, sorry, I'm getting dark. Because this is what allows the arm to pull across the body, right? If the origin of the chest was here, every time you went to go move, you just do that, right? You move origin to insertion. So you don't do this when you move. You fix and you do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the origin away from the insertion. So I'm here, I'm trying to get my breastbone away from my arm. I'm going to lean in a little, give it a little bit of pressure, all right? I know my origin is down here by my ribs and the insertion is on my arm. I'm going to lean that away, moving the origin away from the insertion. If I know the origin is up on my clavicle and the insertion is in my arm, same thing. I'm going to turn the origin away from the insertion. And I'm going to hold that for about 30 seconds. You're going to do both arms. You're going to find one arm is more stiff than the other. What do? Well, every 2 hours when you do this, do one set of 30 on the loose arm, do 2 sets of 30 seconds on the tight arm. And it's that simple. You just want to take a deep breath, blow it out. And again, this is a lot less than about affecting the tightness in the chest tissues. And it's more about teaching your body, number one, how to ramp these muscles down a little, because they're under little bits of activation the entire time they're doing this. But it also teaches you, hey, look, I got range of motion here. I don't have to walk around like this all day. I can actually go in this position. My body does this. And on a muscular level, on a nervous system level, you're training your body to rediscover these positions again so they become your normal motor environment. So right there, or right there, figure out which one works you best. Make sure to breathe. You're trying to get tension out of the muscle, not increase it. And make sure to turn that origin away from that insertion. So the second, and again, because everybody has access to a doorway, especially in an office, unless you're one of those stupid modern offices where, we're going to have an open floor plan, and then everyone's murdering each other to get into the conference room so they can be left alone for 5 minutes. Whew. Everyone has access to a doorway. So this is a very simple stretch that people do. Are there better chest stretches? Yes. Are there more isolated chest stretches? Yes. But again, the reason why I like this one, I don't consider it superior. Why I like it is because everyone has access to a doorway. Okay, let's go over here for the lat stretch. So the lat stretch, I'm going to have to kind of figure out how I'm going to rig this, is a really great one. It's called the prayer stretch. Now again, there are a lot of lat stretches. They're all phenomenal. I just, again, like this one because I can use it, a chair and a desk to do it. So what you do is, and if you're an atheist, knock it off. We know you're special and you're smarter than the rest of us. It's called prayer position because it looks like you're praying. Call it bowing down to science, whatever the hell you want to call it. Right? So your elbows are here. Sometimes people actually hold a stick, but I don't know many people in an office who carry a stick around. That violates what do they call that? Human resources? Yeah, they get really pissed at you if you walk around the office with a stick. So what you do is you put your elbows here. Some people do this. I like to have my palms open. And what you do is you simply just shift the chair back and allow your upper body to drop down in the gap. Now what this does is 2 really, really cool things. Not only does it stretch out your lateral back muscles, which are a key facilitator of douche bag shoulders, it also actually gives you a little extension through your upper back. So if you watch when I do this, if I go here, you'll watch when I do it. I keep my abs tight again, so I'm not doing, flash dance, stripper, low back moves. Right? You want a sexy low back, go get a low back tattoo. When we're doing our stretches, we want our abs tight, so the motion is at our upper back. Right? So you're right here, and you'll see I get a degree of extension through my upper back. So this almost compounds. Actually, it makes sense. I never thought about it this way. The chest exercise compounds the rotational thoracic stretch. And the lat stretch compounds the extension over the chair thoracic motion. So now you're not just getting the mobility, you're getting the muscles. And what you'll do is just hold this position, you adjust your butt, you adjust your chest, keep the core tight so it's not low back, and you'll feel a powerful stretch through the lateral back muscles of your body. That's why I like that one. Number one, because people have access to a desk, people have access to a chair. And it does give you a very powerful extension motion when you do the prayer stretch on the desk. Again, if you find that the prayer stretch is really tight, do it for 2 or 3 sets of 30 seconds every 2 hours. If you find it's not so bad, you can do it for 1 to 2 sets of 30 seconds every 2 hours. The point is to do the damn stretch. And again, to not just loosen the tissues, but more so train the body to understand that it doesn't have to be in this position all day long. Okay, so that is the 2 exercises for the stretching. So we did the thoracic rotation and extension. We did the chest stretch, which kind of backs up the thoracic rotation. And we did the prayer stretch, which kind of backs up the thoracic extension. The last thing you want to do in terms of strength training exercises is going to be a little bit more difficult. And the reason why is most people don't have a ton of equipment around their office. They may have a ton of equipment around their house, but not around their office. So what I would favor is if you're going to do the stretches and the mobilities, try to get those done every 2 hours. The strength training exercises might be a little more complex unless you have access to a band or something like that. But my 2 favorite exercises as far as strength are concerned are the Cobra and the rotator cuff external rotation. Now, people may wonder why I'm talking about the rotator cuff. We're not trying to throw a football like Uncle Rico over those mountains. If coach just put him in, he'd be in a hot tub soaking it up with his soulmate. This isn't about the rotator cuff in terms of throwing. What happens is the 2 rotator cuff muscles on your upper back, the infraspinatus and the teres minor. Nothing even to know that. I feel cool about myself. When they contract, what they actually do is they do an anti-douche bag shoulder movement. They actually pull the head of the arm bone centered into the socket. So one of the things I like to have people do at least 2 sets of every day, if they've got douche bag shoulders, is just grab either a light, one of those evil TheraBands that they give you from physical therapy so you can shoot up heroin and exercise at the same time, right? So what you do is, that wasn't nice, but sometimes I just try to be too funny and I say insensitive things, I'm sorry. All right, so you have the band in your hand. And what you do is you just do the external rotation. And if you watch, so the band's here, it's attached there, and you're pulling across like this. If you watch the head of my arm bone, one of the lead horsemen in the douche bag shoulders cavalry, if you watch that external rotation, it centers. By strengthening up those muscles in the back, it centers. Now again, it's not as much about strengthening as much about teaching your body, hey, I got an infraspinatus. I got a teres minor. Cool. Look, that's what it feels like when it actually is working. It pulls that arm bone back in. So you can use a band, you can lie on your side and use a dumbbell. Look, there's a lot of great rotator cuff exercises. The key thing is to use either a band or a dumbbell, something you have access to either at home or at the gym, and just about 2 sets of maybe about 15 to 20 reps. Because again, we're trying to retrain. We're not trying to build a big, massive, meaty rotator cuff. We're just trying to give the body enough reps to say, oh, cool, infraspinatus, oh, cool, teres minor, oh, cool, look where my arm belongs. All right, so it's about 2 sets of about 15 to 20 of those every day. Again, you say, every day? Well, look, again, you're a manual laborer. This is part of the deal. If you're trying to, if you do this every day, guess what else you're doing every day? You're doing that every single day. If you're at a desk every single day, because you have to unprogram what you're programming. Sorry, that's just the way it is. All right. The other exercise I like to do is the Cobra. Now, again, if you can't get up and down off the floor, there are variations of this. You can do it with a band. What you would do is you take, again, that evil TheraBand, and you would wrap it around a post. You grab it. Let me see if I can get back a little, because I don't have one of those things. They terrify the hell out of me, scare the hell out of me. You would grab the TheraBand like this, and it would attach to a post. And what you would do is just that. Shoulders down, shoulders back. And you just take the TheraBand and you would pull it apart. If you're going to do it off the floor, which I much prefer, what you would do, and you just do that again, you would do the TheraBand. I prefer to do it for timed reps. So whenever I do these, I shouldn't say I got this. I kind of bastardized this off a guy named Stuart McGill. What I'll do is I'll do 6 reps with a 10-second hold and a 5-second rest. Then I'll do 4 reps with a 10-second hold in the second set and a 5-second rest. And then I'll take my TheraBand again and I'll do a third set of 2 10-second holds with 2 5-second rests. And that way, the reason why I don't pump out reps with those is it gives, again, because this is about programming. This isn't necessarily about building a big beefy back. The more time you spend in this contracted position, the more time your brain gets a chance to say, oh, cool, that's an open position. Oh, cool, this is where I should be. That's why I prefer the 10 seconds on, 5 seconds off. Because if I'm going to spend a minute and a half of exercising, I'm spending at least 60 seconds. If I'm doing the 6 reps of 10 seconds on, 5 seconds off, I'm spending at least 60 seconds per set training my body to go into this position. Okay? So the Cobra, the way it works, is this one's done on the floor. And what you would do is you lie down on your tummy, you put your hands in this position here, palms down, forehead down, and using your upper back muscles, you lift your hands and turn your thumbs to the ceiling. Look at the position I'm in. If I was standing, I'm in the exact position I was when I was doing the TheraBand exercise. So I just swallowed some rug. The TheraBand exercise. All right, I'm just on the floor, so I'm getting gravity to be my resistance. If I don't have the evil TheraBand, then I have gravity to help me out. Again, same thing. 10 seconds in this position, 5 seconds in here. 6 reps, 4 reps, 2 reps. If you can't do that many, do 4 reps, 3 reps, 2 reps, and then just build up. The reason why I like that more than reps, I'll say it again. This is about motor programming as much as it's about strength training. You spend more time of the set in the position you want to train your body to be in than you spend on the floor. Here, it's 2 seconds, it's back down. Here, it's just, the ratio is all off. I like it 10 seconds, right there, get my shoulder. Don't shrug up, too. Again, this is a motor. This is how powerful motor programs are. They screw everything up. Shoulders down, blades together, thumbs turned out, and then back down for 5 seconds. Up another 10 seconds, blah, blah, blah. Hold it for 10 seconds, come down for 5, and repeat that 4 more times for 6 total reps. Whew. So I think that's about it. I'm tired. That's Douche Bag Shoulders. Again, that is not mine. That was invented by a man named Ken Steadman, and I'm not hiding away from that. I wish I was Ken Steadman and I came up with Douche Bag Shoulders, but I did not. Understand, again, if you're an office worker, you are a manual laborer. There is an effect on your body, but unlike, say, a construction worker or a steel worker, the effect isn't acute. It's chronic over a long period of time. I'm talking about through the day. Understand that every day you're at the desk, you're going to have to be doing exercises to reprogram your body. Again, this isn't so much about building muscular strength or stretching muscles. Like, yes, that is a degree part of it, but it's about retraining your body to be in more efficient and durable positions throughout the day, because all you're giving it all day is this. So we want to give it some of that to counteract it. So understand this is about as much about motor programming. Understand what douche bag shoulders are. What else I want to cover? Oh, and then you have your three exercises done every 2 hours. You have your thoracic extension and rotation. Again, there's a lot of ways to do it. These are just my favorite because people can do them while in an office without having to get on the floor. You have your pec stretch and your lat stretch, which help loosen up the muscles. Again, don't forgo strength training exercises. These muscles, these pecs and these lats, they're not tight and strong. They're tight and weak. All right, so keep doing your strength training. Good bench presses are a posture exercise. Good lat pull downs are a posture exercise. Every exercise, bicep curls when done correctly, are a good posture exercise. Do not do your strength training program. It will only help all of this stuff. It'll only help build up the muscles. So whatever part the tissues have to do with this, they'll do more of their part. But again, it just reinforces that motor program over and over and over again. And when you're in the gym and you see a bunch of other people with good posture, it's just the power of community pressure, right? Whereas when you're in the office, everyone's got douchebag shoulders. So everyone sits like a douchebag, right?
But when you're in the gym, everyone should be walking around in hero posture. Let's call her. Robbie Novelbisky would say, Superman never dies, right? When you're in the gym, right? I'm not talking about being cocky or arrogant here, but right, not this. We're this. Jesus Christ, I've been talking for 35 minutes. My God. All right, so it's this, not that when you're in the gym. So again, don't forgo your strength training. You got your mobility, you got your stretches, you got your activation exercises of the Cobra or the standing band pull apart. You have the rotator cuff movement. Now you know why it's so important. And that's about it. I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was supposed to cover. I gave Steadman credit. I addressed why. I really didn't get into the science of it all, but maybe that'll be another video. I really just wanted to get to the exercise. I knew I was going to ramble on long enough. I just got to talk for 35 minutes just about the exercises. So imagine if I started going into like all different arguments about posture and pain and all this stuff. It's just too much. I'm already too much. I don't need to make it worse. Right? You don't give the pyromaniac high octane gasoline so he burns things hotter and longer, right? And that's it. I am going to move on in my life. Remember, tomorrow is the pizza part of Push-Ups and Pizza. We're doing the wing off. We're going to do Applebee's versus Buffalo Wild Wings. We're going to have a little wing contest, see how things go. And that's about it. I will see you all later. And I'll leave some timestamps so God willing, you watch this, you won't be stuck listening to too many rambles. I'll put a timestamp on when the mobility exercise starts. I'll put a timestamp on when the stretching starts. I'll put a timestamp on when the strength exercise starts. So if you need to go right to that information again and again and again, because you already have the basis of my initial rant. I know these videos are so long and it turns people off like, oh, why can't you do it for 5 or 10 minutes? Because that's just the way I work. All right, maybe one day when I become all famous, for what, I don't know, but when I become famous, I can get someone to edit my videos and we can make really cool with like cool things popping up, and I can wear a tank top, right, and get all tan in December. Oh, sorry, March. Where are we, March? Yeah, March. But right now, that's not the case. So I want to get this information. I'm sick of hiding under a rock. I want to get this information out there. As imperfect as the delivery mechanism as it is, I will put the timestamps in there so you can go ahead and just, you know what? You want better videos? Please share these. And the bigger this becomes, the more followers I get, the more views I get, the more likely this is going to be monetized. And then I'll be able to have good production values. And then we can have videos that maybe are 5 or 10 minutes long that get the same amount of information across because we can edit them properly. But for right now, I'm a guy who grew up with the Commodore 64. This is the best I can do. So thank you for your patience, and I will talk to you all later. Good night.